Hey, I'm Chris Schultz. I'm here with Brian Swislow from Object Heavy, going to be rocking it at Cosmico May 17th, kicking off the entire festival. I'm so excited to have Object Heavy out. Brian, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me, Chris. Yeah.
Good. All right. Well, give us a little intro to Object Heavy. Bring people kind of up to speed on your band and your music and what it's all about.
All right. Yeah, Object Heavy. We are from Arcata, California, right up the road in Humboldt. Um, we formed in 2013-14 area as a house band for a jam night at the Jambalaya in Arcata, California. And I have to add right away, it was none of the members that are there now. We were called the Get Down Crew, and we were a house band for the jam night. And within a few months, songs started to happen with the house band, improv stuff. And we went into the studio, and I'll just push forward to 2017, 18. Richard Love joined the band, and we found a sound. And our sound is a hard-hitting soul. We like to rock. We love Black Sabbath. We love P-Funk, Parliament Funkadelic, Eddie Hazel. We love the sound of Motown. Leon Bridges. We love Erykah Badu and the neo soul movement. And I'm also a big Deadhead, and I'm a huge hip hop head. So I'm kind of of that interesting mix. And so our sound between everyone in the band has become this hard-hitting pinch of psychedelic soul, which has led us to creating an album with Kelly Finnegan of Monophonics, who is our producer, and that's that transistor sound. So we found ourselves making a 1973 Cadillac soul record, and which led us to being picked up by Color Red, the music label owned by Eddie Roberts in Colorado. And that's been a big launch for us, which led to us putting out vinyl for our first time. And here a few years down the road, we've built into this place, and it's starting to work. We found a good booking agency, and now some festivals are picking up, picking us up, and you've gotten to know us a little. And that's the basic story of Object Heavy's existence.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. Been fun to kind of get to know you guys on Instagram and seeing the tour and seeing your stuff. I haven't actually ever seen you live, but I'm excited to.
Awesome. Yeah, we're fired up. And I've heard, my understanding is, and certainly you know more about Cosmico, but so it's been a small boutique kind of family party thing that's evolved over a few years. Is that right? That's the story I've
Yeah,
got from some, because I live in Humboldt, we're not too far. And I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, we're doing Cosmico. They're like, oh man, Guerneville's awesome. The vibe there is great. It's always been you're ramping it up, right? It's becoming a bigger scene, and so now we're getting to play. So it's cool.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's exactly right. We've been doing it for like 5 years. This is our fifth year, but the first 3 years were just in our backyard. And so, just we built it was just very organic, built a stage, started having people over. Last year, we did our first kind of public show. We did a one night show here in Healdsburg, and we actually did some shows down in Mexico as well as part of it, which is kind of fun to had some guys, fly down to Mexico and then fly back up here and do a show. So this year we kind of took it up to a 3-day festival. In Guerneville, this place, Dawn Ranch, is like a really beautiful in the redwoods kind of old school bunch of cabins. And then,
Awesome.
meadow, big kind of grass meadow where we'll build the stage. And so yeah, this is a big step for us this year to do it 3 days and kind of take it up. But hopefully, hopefully it's something we can stick with, kind of make pencil and keep rolling with. Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
You might be in an interesting space in a positive way in that, we hate to see all the festivals falling apart everywhere we go. We even High Sierra, right? And obviously the Silver
Yeah.
Roses was a shit show. And I'm hearing it from a lot of my different friends who not only are musicians but do the game, and so, being that this is boutique status and you guys are actually just growing, this could be a nice little launch point, for you guys to grow while but the word on the street is, hey, back to the underground, right? Like these big festivals aren't going to make it anymore, or at least for a time being. Let's go back to the underground. And like in my mind, Cosmico is like, right, you guys are going to another level, and it's new, and it's been a thing for 5 years. So it's exciting, I'm guessing, for you guys to be able to ramp up while it's not easy. right
It's
now.
definitely, I mean, it's a tough environment, but the thing about it is we don't know any different because we never had like gravy years. This is
Mhm.
the first year. So if we're able to make it work in a tough environment, that's good. And I mean, we we're not corporate. It's just, my
Yeah,
wife and I running it and funding it. And so it's not like we've never had like big revenue streams. So we've been scrappy, just kind
yeah,
of making it work, which I think is a good place to be right now in a tough
I would agree.
environment. Yeah.
I would agree. That's that. I think that's what I was alluding to. It's you guys are in a good
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
stoked for sure. We're super stoked. I've only heard little bits about like Guerneville at all. And even my girlfriend, she's a third generation Humboldt kid. She's like, Guerneville?
Okay.
Oh, I love Guerneville. Such a cool little freaky little cool town. She just
Yeah.
it's said she loves it. So I'm excited. We
It's gonna
passed in
be
fact. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. And you guys and then you're going from here to, well, I know you're going to Joshua Tree, and then you added a show, right? You're playing in
Yeah,
Riverside. Yeah.
a show popped up on us in Riverside. It just happens to be at 4:15 in the afternoon, as opposed to in the evening. We're like, okay, that
Right.
changes things. You know what I mean? Like, which yeah. So obviously we're communicating in the email too. Which yeah, that's why I'm realizing because at first, because we're always down to stay. I mean that's first like, hey, if we're gonna go to a festival, even if we have to leave the next day. We don't know you guys yet. We're those guys. We want to hang. We want to like be part. We
Yeah.
want to build. We want to build on it. And
Yeah.
and create good connects and relations out of it. So, but anyway, after talking to everyone, like, well, we should get some kind of driving in that night. I'm like, all right. So we all agree. We're like, well, we're gonna hang, and we love Afrolicious too. Like they're homies,
Yeah.
and so yeah, we may leave somewhere in the middle of their set or something. But in our minds, like, well, if we can drive 2 or 3 hours, then it'll give us a 5 hour drive in the morning instead of an
Yeah.
8 or 9 hour drive. I can promise you, we're gonna bring it. I'm
That's
excited about
great.
that. We don't feel bad about where we're playing. We don't care about any of that. We're super excited. We'll smash it in front of 6,000. Like
Yeah.
happy. We're excited. I'm glad you see us as someone who's going to bring it because we're definitely Richard's voice. I mean, not only do we love shredding and the band's great and all, but Richard telling you he's got the gift, and as soon as he starts piping, the whole place is going to get silent and like in awe because Richard's just
Really. I
something.
mean, I
There's
I
just
can
something about him.
tell.
Like it's hard to
Yeah.
say that as his own bandmate. Like, but I watch what happens in sound checks in an open bar. Everyone's talking and blah blah blah, and Richard's like, oh. Next thing you know, the whole place goes silent. Everyone's sitting there waiting to see what happens next. So we're gonna do that for you.
That's awesome. Well, the sound is something else. I mean, you mentioned you came out with your vinyl, and I ordered a copy, the Love and Gravity, and man, it just is a record that just sends it. And I had it on for a couple weeks straight here at the house, and I can't wait to hear some of the songs. Give our audience a sense, of kind of the vibe, and maybe talk us through one of the songs that they can expect to hear. Richard Love, you mentioned the lead singer, his voice is just, a classic kind of soul, big voice, just lots of energy. What's the song that you're excited to play at Cosmico?
Well, there's a handful of them. We'll play almost everything on the record. One song that I know is gonna, I guess I could hope for the jaw-dropping effect is "Take You Home to Mother." Take You
Okay.
Home to Mother is a very strong dedication to Parliament Funkadelic. It's got that, if you like you said, you've listened to it, you can feel some of that soul, that funk vibe that's happening there. And our songs live are definitely when we get the space can really lift off. So we will hit elements of the record very smooth and very soft and very to the T, but we like to twist. And when we have the moment to jump off, we'll take it to another level. And we also, like when I mentioned like Black Sabbath or any kind of, living color, you know what I mean, is another, or
Yeah.
the early Lenny Kravitz stuff. When you think of all of that mixed with the sound of Marvin Gaye and Parliament Funkadelic, we like to the hard hitting soul and the heavy of Object Heavy is where we could take that sound and shred it out. And what happens is, as the band lifts, when you see good bands, the vocalist usually takes it to another level as well. And so we're always excited to see what happens to the crowd when Richard really hits those notes and take you home to mother.
That's
So
great.
that's one thing I can
I'm
say
excited
about
for that. That's a good one. Another one that this might be, a bit of the obvious choice, but Feel Right. Man, that's a great one. That is, kind of classic soul sounding. It's just got a groove. I'm ready to dance to that just thinking about it going through my head.
Yeah, that one, and the truth is on that one will sound pretty close to the record because like it's a rider, it's a Cadillac driver. You just you're feeling right. It feels like the
Yeah.
top's down and the sun might be setting or coming up, however you're feeling. And that song's rock steady, and it's got that break beat in there that pushes, which just gives a little taste of that JB stuff, the James Brown style. So yeah, Feel Right is one. It's definitely a rider. It's definitely be feeling good when you're listening
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah, that's great. Tell me about the Humboldt scene. I one of the things I'm really excited about on Friday is all of our bands are California-based bands. Northern California bands, King Dream from Sonoma County, Afrolicious has been doing it in the Bay for a while. You guys from Humboldt. California is such a great, music state overall. A lot of great bands up here, but one of the things I'm really excited about with Cosmico is focusing on showcasing kind of the music of the vicinity. There's plenty that ties us together up here, but music is one of them. And so tell us what's going on in the kind of the Humboldt scene.
Well, the Humboldt scene currently, is going through some pretty big changes. There's new generations. Humboldt State University turned into Cal Poly Humboldt. We don't have to go into what's happening on any campus today, but the college scene has shifted. And so there are new generations of kids doing different forms of pop and hip hop and other kinds of jam music. And currently there's a group Digging Dirt, which a lot of, most of us have heard of at this point. And they're a collective that, started out doing reggae vibes, and which is also a big sound of Humboldt. And they've morphed into a pretty solid funk band. And it's really fun to see. And I'm kind of the elder of the group of Object Heavy and the scene as far as our peers. And in the last 20-ish years, the funk sound and the music in Humboldt is very, very directed it was very much in the direction of acid jazz and a lot of jam music meets jazz, meets funk with elements of hip hop. And so over the years, I've found myself, I was part of a pioneering group called the Humboldt County Freestyle Kings in like 1999, 2000. We ended up playing at Reggae on the River as a new band, and we blew up overnight. And it was the song about Medical 215. It was like the story of weed before legalization, the stories of camp and what happens in the hills, and over the years, it's evolved. And Object Heavy, we've backed the likes of Charlie Tuna, Rashawn Ahmad from Crown City Rockers, which was a Bay Area hip hop group, and we back a bunch of MCs that are local. So we find ourselves doing hip hop, and so the scene in Reggae on the River's coming back, which is another thing. And then there's the Canafest, which is also evolving into a pretty major festival in Humboldt. So there's been a renaissance. I mean, I think we've all felt that since the pandemic. So between 2019, 20, Digging Dirt blew up in the 16, 17, 18 area, and we're kind of like following in that zone. So although I've been around longer, it's really fun as you see the evolution of a scene. So for me, I'm getting to see the scene revive in a number of ways. And I'm thankful to these other groups, especially the Dirt guys who they played Jam Cruise last year. Like, these guys really made something happen and gave a name to Humboldt that was beyond weed. And for someone like myself who's been there for 27 years, I'm really proud of that. Like, it's really important to have a scene evolve and still give ode and nods to what happened before. And so the scene is going through. The hip hop scene has blown up. There's a ton of rappers. There's a handful of DJs. The breakdancing scene is cool. The live art scene has gone Richter. They have the Eureka Friday Night Market, which is a weekly thing that happens for 6 months out of the year. And the place is bustling. It feels like New Orleans in the French Quarter with art and music and food everywhere. And so it's an important time. Legalization has wiped Humboldt out, but it's the resurgence is coming from the necessity, right? In the words of the mothers of invention, right?
Hmm.
You're doing it out of necessity. So I feel that Object Heavy, Dig and Dirt, some of these groups are evolving based on necessity. And while the scene is changing, it's fun to watch that a number of different genres are really hungry for music like never before, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the things about Cosmico, the way we describe the festival is this is a festival of discovery. You know, one of the things that personally is so important to me is introducing people to music and bands that I'm digging, that I'm getting introduced to, that you know that are on their way up and that you might not have heard of, but they're great bands that are going to rock your world.
Mhm.
And you know, Object Heavy is definitely in that. You guys are going from Cosmico down to Joshua Tree Music Fest. You guys had a big tour all over kind of the West, you know, up into the wintry conditions all over, you know, this
Totally.
winter. Just tell me about, you know, building an audience as a band and everything that's going on with Object Heavy in how your careers are growing right now.
We're really thankful for Sid, Kallstrom, and Blue Sun. They're our booking agency, and they have opened up doors for us that didn't exist before. I was the booking guy, pretty much just myself managing it, just making it happen. And thankfully, I've been in a number of bands over the years, so people know who I am at least. They're like, okay, this guy's got some integrity, and let's listen to what they're doing. And thankfully, the band sounds good. And we've got one
Mhm.
Richard Love who's an amazing voice and is the difference, and it just makes it awesome. So for us, we've hit a bunch of new markets, like you said, and we've been through Idaho and Montana for our second time. We went up to Alaska for our first time. We made our way through other parts, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. We went out to Spearfish, South Dakota, and we found ourselves in Park City, Utah. And while half of these places are new markets, it's just we have to. Once you're in new markets and once you're on the road for more than a few days, you really have to treat it. And this is my opinion, of course. My professional opinion is that we just have to treat it what happens in a week. You're going to have a slow day at the store. You're going to have a good day. And if you have projections, you could look that Thursdays are always your best day. Mondays are your slowest. What sale are we going to have this day? What free beer are you going to have on this night? There's all that. So we think about it this way. So we try not to have our egos bursted when we play in front of nobody. When we play in front of nobody, I mean, we have a thing we put our hands in, right? Everyone does their go team or whatever, and we just do this straight Object Heavy, don't give a fuck, and it's not that we don't give a fuck. We're good guys, but we don't care if there's one person in the room. It doesn't matter. We're here to do something. We're here to show ourselves. And in a new market, we're like cold calling. We're walking in with an encyclopedia, hoping you're going to buy the magazine subscription to get the free encyclopedia. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we're just here to show you what we're made of. And I'm really grateful to and thankful to say that our 100% response in positivity comes from us doing that. When the promoter realizes that, damn, you guys played in front of 10 people, but I've never seen anything like this. You know what I mean? You guys didn't fade at all. You guys, you just came out here and you crushed it. And then we were nice to everyone. And on those nights, we end up selling more merchandise because everyone there wishes more people would have been there. So they want to support us, right? So we make $300 to $500 on a quiet night in a town that nobody knows us in, but we also sold $200 in merch. So now we've paid for the day. So I have to look at it from a business standpoint on some level to say, okay, week one, we pulled this much. Week two, we pulled this much. Week three, we pulled this much. Where did we win? Where did we fail? How do we do in these markets? What are we going to do when we get back? And with the booking agency, when we go play for a quiet room, most of the time that owner, the promoter, whoever's hosting that gig has something bigger in store for us, the festival that they're actually putting on next year. So if you booked us a gig in Healdsburg, let's just say,
Yeah.
and then you're like, okay, 17 people showed up. What the hell happened? Well, don't worry about it because you guys are going to be the most amazing band to have at my festival, right? So that's to give you an example, right? That's how we treat it. We just, I'm thankful that my bandmates are really good guys and they, we take a deep breath on quiet nights and we show who we are and we're not pissy and we just do it. And we're out here. This is what we're here for. So we have to recognize that quiet nights are going to happen. But, we played a quiet night in one place and the next night played in front of 400 people in a bar that no one's ever heard of us before. So we have to take those wins. And when they look like losses, we have to find what wins came from that loss, right? What happened in a good game that we lost by 3? You know what I mean? Like what came of that? So that's pretty much how I treat it personally.
Totally. I mean, it's not dissimilar to what we're doing with the, this is the 5th Cosmico, but really we're a first year festival in terms of, going to a 3-day festival and trying to do something, real here. And, it feels the same way. Some days you're wishing you had the ticket meter moving a little bit. Some days, some days are pretty good, but you're not necessarily a known quantity. You're building an audience. We're building an audience just like you're building an audience. And I think, the thing that is bringing us together here, and I'm really excited about that, is, you guys are giving it your all, and you can see that come through. We've gotten to know each other through social media and the music and Richard singing, and we're doing the same. Hopefully that's coming through. Cosmico is really, we're building something that nobody's ever been to before, but you always want to be able to say, I was at the first one. Well, if you come out this year, you were at the first one,
Absolutely. And again, not to the, it's a huge bummer as we talked about for a second about what's happening to the festival experience overall, right? Numbers aren't where they used to be. Some are getting shut down, last minute cancellations, right? All these things are happening. But, so in your case, the festival like yours is kind of perfect, because if somebody can't afford to go to some of these bigger spots, well, maybe they'll go drive a few hours instead of a bunch of hours. And of course, I want everyone to go to all the festivals. So that's not even to say anything about all of my favorite other festivals, but it's important to note that, your festival is in a place where, in what some call dark times could be a real launch. And I'm hoping that for you guys for sure. So, when you, like you said, you having us play first, like we're here to kick this thing off and kick it in the ass as hard as we can. And we want the other bands to work extra hard after we play. And we want to sound awesome. And we want those bands to sound better than us. Like that's the goal, right? If we're the opener, we're here to serve you up. And so, when someone plays before us and they played the best show of their lives, well, we all take a deep breath and say, oh, shit, we got to get to work here, So
let's bring it.
What's the best thing we can do for you, Chris, and Cosmico is smash it. Because then if we set the bar high, I mean, I already know Afrolicious, man, they're going to smash it. And I know Joey, and he's gonna fucking smash it. You know what I mean? Like that's so it's really up to us to get in there and just bring it down for you right away. And so, yeah.
Yeah, it is, man. I can't wait to have you guys smash it. Object Heavy, don't give a fuck. Let's rock it.
Yeah, we did it.
It's gonna be great.
Say one night we actually said that we're like Object Heavy, don't give a fuck. And we were opening, and the other band we were opening for was in the green room with us, and they're like, "Oh, okay, we see how it is." As if we were like, "Oh, we don't give a fuck," and I had to explain like, "No, we give a fuck." The joke actually came from us crossing the border from California to the next state and be like, "See you later, California, Object Heavy, don't give a fuck." We were just kind of having a good, it was really just based on nothing, just a joke. And it became our rally thing. And that, spoke to me as like, on great nights, it's like, yeah, we're going to bring it down. And on quiet nights, well, we're going to bring it down then too. We don't care who's there. We're just, if you and 3 other people see us, well, I really want you guys to fall in love with us. Like, what else can we do, right? We just have to show up. I mean, that's what we spend our time practicing for because we love it. We make the art for ourselves. Obviously, we do it for ourselves. We've quit, lost jobs, done whatever we've done to decide to be musicians. So if you're going to do it like that, I mean, you kind of got to go all the way in.
You got to go, and sometimes you make fans one at a time. That's just the way this world works. That's the way it
Period.
works. So
Period.
yeah,
I agree wholeheartedly. It's one, it's each one teach one, right? That's the
yeah,
vibe. If we can get one person into us and they're like, damn, we should have brought a few friends. Well, we know those friends will show up next time. We're
yeah.
confident enough, and the band is in a really good place. This last tour was really good for us. It was a positive tour. Most of the nights were good. All of the nights got us home safely, and we made a little money. We sold out of all of our merch. Morale is super high going into our next gig, which is with you.
Well, we can't wait for that. So Object Heavy at Cosmico, May 17th. Don't miss it. Brian, thanks for being with me here today. This was great.
Yeah.
And
I'm going
we'll
to give
see
a
you in
shout
less than
out
two
to
weeks.
I have to give a shout out to Pedro Arevalo. I know Duane won't be there this time, but I toured for a bit with Pedro and Duane, with Ty Dennis and Andy B of Cold Blue Water. A
Right
little bit,
on.
a couple years before Duane, he was with Dawes for a minute and then jumped, and Almond Betts took off after that. And so I've gotten some real time, some hotel time and some van time with Pedro and Duane, thanks to my buddy Andy B. And I'm super excited to see Pay. I don't know if he'll be there Friday or not. Obviously, we're on, but it's fun. We realize we're on the bill with people. We may not see them, but I'm like, I hit up Duane. I'm like, hey, you're not going to be there this year, are you? He goes, nah, no. Pedro will be there though. So there's
Yeah.
I have a personal connection to what you're doing, because I'm realizing that some of my favorite guys that I've only really played with a handful of times, and Duane dropped the almond knowledge on me. So I'm eternally grateful for that experience with Pedro and Duane. And so I just wanted to give a shout out, because I know that those guys are close to your heart. So
That's awesome. They are. I can't wait to see Pedro and his brother Jeffrey, and they will be in on Friday. So I think they'll see your set and you'll get to hang with them. And
awesome.
yeah, Duane's not making it this year, but he'll be back. He headlined last year, which was awesome.
What an
So
amazing, beautiful guy.